Okay, so let's recap where we started on 3.1c, notes and practice. We were talking about a special coin that doubles every day, right? That doubles in value every day. And because of that, we determined that it was an exponential. Agreed? So the coin has to be an exponential because it's doubling in value every day. And we wrote our exponential function as f of x equals 2 to the x. Agreed? Okay, then from there, we graphed it. Okay, so then we graphed it after we made our table, right? So we made our table of what the values are doing every day and what values will be at. Yes? Okay. Then it asked us to solve. So how many days would it take us to become a millionaire? Did we do that? And we got about 20 days till it take us to become a millionaire. Okay? Yes?
Yeah, I'm just writing that down.
Questions, comments, concerns about where we ended on Friday?
20 days is our answer.
20 days is our answer. Okay?
What percent?
No. Guys, so here we go. If you missed Friday or you weren't paying attention on Friday, it is now your responsibility to watch the video or attend tutorials to get yourself caught up. Okay. School must go on. All right. So the conclusion here is we discovered after we did our whole math, it was about 20 days, right? Ta-da, the answer was on the back all along. So it took about 20 days for the coin to be worth $1 million. Now it's asking us, how could we determine the number of days before the doubling coin has a value equal to any amount we choose? So, what is it asking us to do? Find an equation. So if it wants us to find an equation where now we're given our output instead of our input, what type of equation are we looking for? What is it called mathematically when you're doing the opposite? The inverse. So it's asking us to find our inverse equation. Okay. So we have talked about this. If we have f of x equals 2 to the x, what is its inverse? There we go. Say it again. Log base 2. The inverse that we have equals log base 2. Because the opposite of an exponential is a log. So now, what is it representing? What do we have here? So now we can write this in terms of us solving a problem, right? In terms of the problem, now X is our money, our dollar amount. And the output that we're going to get is our time. So does that make sense? Because we found the inverse, we now can input our money amount to find out how long it's going to take us in terms of time. Okay, so look here. Let's use this formula. So it says, if you were offered a single payment of $50,000 or a coin that doubles for a specific number of days, for what number of days would you opt for the doubling coin? Okay, so our input is now 50,000. Because we're given money as our input, are we using our original or our inverse? Our inverse. So we're going to be using inverse log base 2 of x. Okay. So now I'm going to find out the time for this problem is going to equal log base 2. And what is my money amount? 50,000. So when you look at example 3 on the front, didn't we have to take the log anyway? We had to solve it. But now we've already found a rule to follow. Instead of having to solve for log every time, we just plug in. And that's the purpose of a function, right? To make it easier and faster. All right, so log base 2, 50,000. What do we get, guys? About how many days will it take for us to get our, okay? Make sure you round correctly. Because if you round down, will I be at 50,000 or will be shortchanging myself? I'll be shortchanging myself. So we're gonna round it up.
I'm trying to choose.
Repeat that question. I don't know how to answer it.
Like,
all right. So we have
Oh, okay, got it.
So approximately it was like 15.9, right? So the thing is, if, well, 15.6
Oh, 9.
something, right? But if I'm at 15 days, will I have my 50,000? No. So we round up to 16 days. Okay. And again, if you are using the TI-84, how do you get log base 2 in the calculator? You either can write it as division, right? Log 50,000 divided by log 2, or alpha window. So if you don't want to write it as a division, you can do alpha, then the window button, and then you press 5, and you can put in the base, okay? So you either can write it as division, or you could do the preset format of alpha window 5, okay? All right, let's do it again. Here we go. So it says, if you were offered a single payment of 125,000 or a coin that doubles for a specific number of days, for what number of days should you opt for the double coin? Again, we're looking for time. So because we're looking for time, we're going to be using our base. Does that make sense?
Yeah, we do log 2.
So we have log base.
That's the double.
That's the doubling.
It's gonna be around.
That's like a factorial multiplying.
It's gonna be around 17 days.
Okay, so what did I get initially? What's my approximate value?
16.931.
We have about 16.9, which is about how many days? So on the 17th day, that's when my coin will be worth 125,000. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, how could I use a graph to do this? So if I was to use the graph that we created,
Go on the x-axis, money is right.
yeah. So if we were to graph this, we make a whole new graph, and our graph function would be f of x equals log base 2 of x, right? Or if my calculator doesn't have log base, it will be log x divided by log 2, okay? The other thing that I could do is use my exponential graph. But on my exponential graph, instead of going to the x-axis, I would go to the y. So by that, I mean here, flipping over real quick, I'll go back. If I wanted to know, let's say 6 days, well, my x-axis represents my days, right? And my y-axis represents my money, my dollars, agreed? So if I wanted to know 6 days, I would go here. But if I wanted to know the money, or if I'm given the money, instead of starting on the x-axis, I would start on the y-axis, right? So if I wanted to know when I would have $10, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So let's say I want to know how many days would it take me to have $10? Well, I would go to 10, and it would take me almost a little over 3 days, right? Do we see that? So that's how you can use a graph you already have, is that instead of going to the x to find the y, you would go to the y and find your x.
Oh, you smart.
Okay. So creating a whole new function, or using f of x equals 2 to the x, and you go to y to find x. And in this case, y is our money and x was our time. So now on part 5, we're summarizing everything we did. So on 5, what did we do? What was our exponential equation? So we started off with f of x equals 2 to the x. That was our exponential, right? From the exponential, we had to be given our what? But from the exponential, what was our given? What were we plugging in? In this case, x was our what? Our time. So with the exponential, x was our given time, right? 10 days, I would have how much? 12 days, I would have how much, right?
Ow.
Now our log, what did our log tell us?
How much money?
Our log told us, so f of x equals log base 2 of x. This time we're given our what? Our money, our amount. So depending on the question is going to determine which one of these functions I would use, right? So for example, if I asked you, calculate how much money I would have after 25 days, which one would you use? The first one, the exponential, right? Because I'm giving you a time to calculate, right? If I asked you calculate, how long will it take me to have $100,000? Then you would have to use the second one, the log one. Yes.
Could I hypothetically, just like go to calculator and just be like, 1 times 2, 2 times 2, 4, all the way.
I mean, if that's what your life told you to do in that moment, yes.
And I put out that last Friday, and I
Yeah.
got it faster than you.
I went slow because I had to teach it. Yeah. I had to teach it, so to a certain degree, yeah. All right, so conclusion. It's asking if I wanted to make this in terms of dollars, and I'm solving for dollars, which one am I using? I'm going to use the second one. So instead of using X, it wants me to do what? So we would have f of D equals log base 2 of D.
That is weird.
Just so that I'm emphasizing what X represents in this one, right? X represents the what? The dollars. Okay. All right. I know it sounds repetitive, but the purpose of it being repetitive is so that we summarize what we're doing, right? And we kind of make sense of it. I went from an exponential to a log, but these two are related to each other, right?
I noticed.
Does it make sense?
That's what kind of, keep them on. Remember it.
Good. All right.
I hate that.
You're welcome. All right. So let's kind of quickly go over your assignment for the week.
Ew.
So here's your 3.1 assignment for the week. Okay, this is the only assignment that you'll be doing outside of class. Everything else will be working on in class. Does that make sense? All right. So our 3.1 assignment at the top, please write, when is it due?
Thursday.
Thursday. It is due Thursday. So this Thursday. Okay, it is due Thursday, the 26th. You guys do.
My mom.
All right. All right, so let's go through some homework help.